My name's Ryan Diamisi. I work for Christian Wealth Management as a wealth advisor. I want to tell you why I decided to ditch my internet. When I was engaged to my wife, we went to In-N-Out. You wanted this to be quick, but it's not. I love In-N-Out Burger. And we created a budget for us to live off of my income. She was working, I was working. We had lived a single life for a while and got used to spending both of our incomes. But the goal for us was that we would be able to have kids and just be able to live off of my income. So we got to sit down and from scratch create a budget that we can implement for our first month of marriage that has us accomplishing our goals and living off of just my income. And as we were looking through the line items of things that we were paying for and having to throw that in the budget, I realized, man, things are tight. And so we reviewed, critically analyzed, what's in this budget, what are things that are not helpful to what me and my wife want to get out of life. And we both came to the conclusion that the internet at our home was not helpful to accomplishing what we wanted out of life. Neither one of us worked from home, so we were able to get rid of the internet, ruthlessly eliminate the internet. Our vision for our family at that time was that we would be a hospitable household. So our vision was to invite people over to our house for dinners, etc., be spending time with people that we love. The internet didn't help us accomplish that, so it was easy to identify that. And then not only that, it was created an obstacle. We would waste time watching TV that we didn't really care about. We decided that we'd give it a shot. So I've been thinking through that as an advisor. I don't think you should cut the internet off. While I do wonder if the world would be a better place if we didn't have the internet at home. The principles behind how we arrived at the conclusion is what I've been trying to uncover. So here's what I have for you. The principle here is to set up some type of routine where you're critically assessing your budget to see what things are going well and what things are challenges. What are the things that you like spending money on? What things do you feel like you're wasting your money on? So here's some ideas and steps to assess your budget. So the first thing that we should all do is get together with our spouse. If you're not married, find a friend that you feel like is running a similar direction in life to you and ask God what His vision for your life is. And write it down. Some people already have vision statements, and that's great. I still encourage people, just start from scratch. Write something new down, ask God, and write something new down, and then check it against what you wrote down before. So the first step is ask God what His vision is for your life. Proverbs 29:18, where there is no prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint. Without having a vision in my life, there's the desire for self-control, or the ability to exercise self-control goes down. So the second step is pray and write down the long-term goals that you have. Most people have long-term goals already. And again, we're doing the same thing. We're starting from scratch, writing down what comes up, what's top of mind, and then you can throw it against what you've written down in the past. The third step, you got it. Pray and ask for wisdom on your short-term goals. Again, you may already have short-term goals, but we're starting from scratch and we're comparing it against what you've written down in the past. So at this point, we're 3 steps in. We've got your vision, we've got your long-term, your short-term goals, and we're interacting, hopefully keeping an awareness that these aren't our ideas for our lives, that we're taking a risk that these might be God's ideas for our lives. So the fourth step is going to be create an ideal budget. You may already have a budget, I already have a budget, but go ahead and recreate your ideal budget. So as you're creating your ideal budget, what would make a lot of sense is for your ideal budget that you should be able to see your short-term, long-term, and your vision being accomplished through this ideal budget. You know, nothing's perfect. I still waste money on things I wish I didn't waste money on. But the point is, like, we're putting in the reps to try to see progress, and we're doing our part. So step 5 is that we're going to use our ideal budget and compare it against, if you already have a budget, compare it against that. If you don't, just look at your last month of expenses and compare your ideal budget to however you decide to categorize your last month of expenses, and see like where there are inconsistencies and where there might be opportunity for you to literally redeem the money that you're bringing in. So the 6th step is looking at this point, we've got our ideal budget, we're comparing it against last month expenses, or we're comparing it against our previous budget, and we can ask God, like, what would he have us do in light of what we're seeing? And the great part about this, or what I'm hoping within these steps, is that we're doing financial planning. We're doing the basics of our responsibility, which is we're asking God what to do, we're creating a budget, and we're doing it in community, because hopefully your spouse is there or you have a friend there. And there's scripture that says, where there are 2 or 3 gathered, I am there in their midst. Okay, so that's it. That's my 6 steps on how to redeem your budget. So in these 6 steps, you've heard over and over again to ask God. James 1:5-6 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, without doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. So James is instructing us that God gives wisdom generously to all who ask. And when we ask, we have to take a step of faith that what we're hearing is the response from God. I'm also reminded of, without faith, it's impossible to please God. And there's risk within all of that. So these are the 6 steps that I have that help me ask God to redeem my budget. And I hope these principles help you.